and told him it is time for us to move Kenya to the next level. And for us to move Kenya to the next level, we need to pull together. Mukubali ili sasa tuwe na formal engagement kati ya KANU, sindio? Ili KANU sasa iwe part of the government of Kenya. This is not about individuals. This is not about personalities. This is not about parochialism or corners or regions. This is about Kenya.
Right, I want to hear from Nelson and DG here, but before I do, the president says in his mother tongue that Moi protected him. Why wouldn't he protect Gideon? Why would anyone need protection?
Sam, I didn't know you understand Kalenjin. I'm happy that you could pick up what's
wrong.
No. Actually, what he said is that he was, I believe, building a foundation to tell the delegates who were present the basis upon which he went out to Gideon and told them it's time for us to come together and take Kenya to the next level. And in the course of that, then he actually spoke at length in the local dialect, where he ran the people whom he was talking to through stages of his leadership, including the fact that he was not he was not such a strong personality until the time he got into the government of former retired President Moi the late, and that is, he was given a platform as a leader to get where he is, and now says, what then stops me? Because what Moi had as a president, he used that platform to facilitate me also to progress. What stops me from using the same platform to help Gideon to the next level?
So in other words?
Sorry?
No. In other words, he says, if Moi protected me, what will stop me from
No. He didn't say he protected me. He didn't say that is not the right translation. He didn't say he protected Moi. He said Moi assisted me to be where I am because he was holding the position of leadership of the president. And what stops me from doing the same thing to Gideon? And now qualifies and say it is not about individual, it's not about the region.
So what would he do for Gideon?
Well, I don't know, but from where I sit, Gideon doesn't need to be done for anything other than to be told, this is where my vision for the country is, my brother. This is where we ought to be as a country. 2050, first world. This is where we can be if we come together as KANU and you join the broad-based government. And this is what Kenya will be if we come together as one. So I believe that was the message.
If there was no by-election in Baringo for Senate, would this meeting have happened?
Yes, because the conversation had been going on even before the by-election came in. Yes.
Okay. Javi, what does this do if we still continue to say that we are multi-party democracy, which is captured also in the Constitution, but then after an election, 2-3 years later, those in government are reaching out to everyone else in the opposition and uniting. What does it do, particularly on that concept of multi-party democracy?
Well, nobody has ever ascended to the helm of the executive. He who doesn't want to amass absolute power. Everybody will want to do that. So that to me, President William Samoei Ruto reaching out to Raila Amolo Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, reaching out to Gideon Moi is his right. And that is why we have checks and balances to ensure that even when the head of the executive wants to be ultimate authority, still our liberties are protected. Still our rights are protected. So fundamentally, for me, what the people of Kenya must ask themselves is, What are they doing on their part to coalesce, to create alliances for themselves? And let me speak to the youthful population, because I spoke to a number of them on Friday, and I was intrigued, because a majority of them said they just want anyone who will remove William Samoei Ruto from office of president. They're quite affirmative about that choice. And then you ask them, so who do you want in that office? A majority said Kalonzo Musyoka. Some quipped Wajakoya. Another girl told me Millie Odhiambo. Then I told her, look, ma'am, Millie Odhiambo has not expressed interest to be president. And this is where you people go wrong. You need to be informed about what you want. You need to be informed about the available leadership. So, for instance, the target for IEBC registration was 6.2 million. I mean, it's almost a month, and we have a paltry 20,000 recorded. So you youngsters who want change, who are complaining about William Samoei Ruto meeting Gideon Moi, you know, that complaint is not meritorious. These people have been friends since childhood. Remember the other day, William Samoei Ruto even attempted to go and see Daniel Arap Moi when he was on his deathbed, and he was bad. So let these people meet. But you must do what is important to you. What is important to you is to assert your right to change government. You understand? And I will extend this advice even to the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, Ricky G, David Maraga. Don't complain about William Samoei Ruto meeting anybody. Talk to the people to make an affirmative choice. Ensure that those who are not registered as voters register to vote. Have your alliance, and your alliance is the people.
Okay, interesting. And for you, DG, then, because conversations will continue. In any case, if you look at since 2024, when the president came and gave a press statement, nominated a few people to the cabinet, then said he was doing consultations with the rest of the political space, appointed a few from ODM, still retained some space, perhaps waiting for your party leader, but that never happened. This may continue. But then how do the alternative voices, whether it's the political parties or the people, how do they capture the imagination of the country so that if we can all agree that we want a better country, whether it's Vision 2030 or Vision 2055, that happens eventually?
Thank you, Sam. And today you did the greatest, at least to bring speakers, panelists, and a serious policy maker, and if I'm not wrong, a lawyer to this discussion. You know, from where President Abiy has left, we need to ask ourselves, why low turnout? Because that is where it starts. You cannot have another democratic way of changing this country unless you do it through maandamano first, or you have a government that listens and you can sit and forward your views. You have a channel to forward those views if you are sure they will be implemented.
Right.
We are now undertaking voter registration. But Senator here and the Parliament and the Executive have systematically ensured this event will not be a success from day one. How? Because we have not for a long time had voter registration. I expected mass voter registration, where people will go to, where IEBC will be resourced, enabled to go up to village level, to reach out to as many people who are not registered as possible. I expected Senator here and the rest of the leaders in Parliament and the Executive to ensure the provincial administration, even the counties, even themselves, They are involved in hiding. But look at what they have done. They have ensured IEBC is not well resourced. Hence, the only one center of voter registration is at the constituency level, constituency office. Some, considering the policies of Kenya Kwanza, of ensuring this country as many millions as possible for are poor. How will they manage to go pay transport to the constituency office and ensure they get registered? So systematically, we in authority have ensured this exercise will not be a success. Hence, the change the country is yearning for might not be realized that soon. Allow me to a little bit have a different opinion with this senator on the issue of transforming this country. The world, in a bid to fight poverty and inequality, came up with Millennium Development Goals. Out of Millennium Development Goals, Kenya, under President Kibaki, came up with it was economic.
ESP.
Yes. No, not ESP. It was economic recovery strategy.
Okay. For
wealth and employment creation. Out of that, the country came up with Vision 2030. Now, when Kenya Kwanza talks about transforming this country in the year 2055, I see politics of 2027. Just promising up and telling people we are doing something, yet you know there is nothing you are doing. Where is Kenya Kwanza basing their argument? Because we should be seeing roadmap to what they are saying, what they are telling us. They tell us, under Vision 2030, this is what the country has achieved. And going forward, we have this vision to take us to 2055. It's pure politics. And, by the way, this administration has managed to do something we call in international relations state capture, ensuring Parliament is not independent, judiciary to some extent is influenced in our decision making, and every public entity. And I can tell you, it is very dangerous when it comes to developing and transforming this country. So, to answer your question, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing politics, pure politics.
Pure politics.
Yes.
Now, for you, Mheshimiwa Wambugu, I don't know you're smiling, but knowing that all these leaders are politicians and their interests, if you to look at the Baringo senatorial by-election, and Gideon Moi had actually declared his candidature. The people are waiting for him on Thursday to present his papers, then he didn't show up. Then you see a meeting the following day to sort of explain the essence of the meeting at State House. What are Kenyans supposed to do?
First, why I was smiling, I was listening to the DG. You know, I try to be as practical as possible most of the time. And I wanted to ask, I was waiting for the DG to tell us what. So he's a DG of Machakos County, right? He was put in office by votes. So I just wanted to hear him say that as Machakos County, as government, this is what we are doing to make sure we support the voter registration drive in Machakos County, you know? Because sometimes we complain, all of us, like we are all on the same space. We are not all in the same space. Different people have the capacities, and everybody, I think, has a responsibility to do whatever they can, even as we ask national government to do what they need to do, because national government is going to do what is in their best interest. For all intents and purposes, maybe this government doesn't want any more people registered. You know, maybe they are comfortable with the numbers that exist, but because they have to open up the registration.
What are your thoughts? What can a county do?
I mean, even just, I mean, governors are moving around the county in terms of talking about the projects they're doing. How many of them are asking people, but do you know we're doing registration for voters? Is it a main topic? The same way we want national government to make it a main topic in their conversation.
Because I thought his question is about, he says that IBC is under-resourced. That's why they are limited.
I'm not sure where he got that information from, because I haven't had IBC say that.
I'm just going to...
I had him.
Yes.
I had him, and yes, for all we know, I mean, I'm also not going to defend IBC. I don't know. Maybe they are under-resourced, but I haven't actually...
Because what they have said on record, even in this studio, is that for now, it's continuing, or rather restarting the continuous voter registration.
Yes.
But eventually they'll bring what they call enhanced voter registration, where they bring it closer to the people. But carry on.
Because for my knowledge of even from before, voter registration has always been done how it's been done now.
Yeah.
It's always been done at constituency level. It's actually supposed to be a continuous process. I just feel as if when we are leaders in position, we also need to have our own incentive or in our own intentional whatever that we are doing. But anyway, that is away from the point. This issue of why Gideon is doing whatever he's doing, I want to pick from something that Nelson has said. First, Ruto's, as president, it is in his best interest to reduce resistance to his government as much as possible. It's in his best interest, so that he's able to do whatever he wants, literally, right? That is nature, human nature. That is the interest of anybody. If you asked Senator here, he would rather not have any opposition in his county. At all. If it was possible to wake up and reduce all your opposition to become your friends, so that they're only saying what you want them to say, that is what you'd want.
Or keeping quiet.
Yes, or keeping quiet.
Yep.
So I don't think we should blame Ruto for doing that, because he's doing what is expected of him. I think, and then there's also nobody who has been told he has to be in opposition. We've never agreed that we have elected Gideon to be opposition. Nobody's elected to be in opposition. It's you who decides that I'm going to be in opposition. Because even now, I hear the DG saying that Kalonzo doesn't want to get into government. Kalonzo would get into government. The question is, what would he get? You can't keep saying Kalonzo doesn't want to get into government. If today Ruto said, I'm going to step away and leave you to be president, Kalonzo would get into government immediately. So let's not say that he can't get into government. The issue is, what is he going to get into government?
Yeah.
And I wanted to make that point. Nobody runs to be opposition. Nobody runs for office to be opposition. Everybody runs for office to become government. It's only that when you don't make it, you assume that your default setting is to become opposition. Raila now has learned how to now move away from being in opposition during the intervening period between elections, and he maneuvers himself back into government, or into government somehow. And you'll see, he was in government and then he ran for office in 2022. For all intents and purposes, he could actually run again in 2027. But he learns how to, once the elections are over and I didn't make it, so how do we now live with this government that is coming into place that is not ours? And he finds his space. And even for political parties, I come from the school of thought that the purpose of a political party is to look for power, so that you can implement the policies. If you look at the first world, a lot of what happens is that once an election is over, the political party that won, in most cases, has to end up having a conversation. Even in South Africa, you end up having to get into a conversation with the party you are competing with, because you can't govern by yourself. And what happens is that now the party that comes and adjusts some of your policies as a government, the ruling party, and you guys have to find your compromise. Now, Gideon has decided he's a leader of KANU. He wanted to run for Senate. You asked a very interesting question. If he wasn't running for Senate, would this conversation have happened? I don't think it would have happened. I don't agree with Senator. But you see, because he's running for Senate, an opportunity arose for a conversation. Government doesn't want to lose that position. And there's a very high possibility they could. Gideon is thinking, okay, I could be Senator and continue operating from outside, or I can stop being Senator and become part of government and make a few changes happen. Now, somebody will argue that he's doing this for personal interest. But there's something very interesting that happened in that clip. When Ruto said, as you are quoting, Moi protected me. Nothing stops me, because I'm going to take the translation that I read on was me, Sielawi Kalenjin.
Yes.
And then senator here could be
it was translated by someone who understands
managing the message.
Yes.
When Gideon said, I'll protect, when Ruto said, Moi protected me and I can protect Gideon. For me, the issue is not it's not Gideon. It's the people who clapped. Because it's not Gideon who clapped. Eh?
Yeah.
That entire mass of people that were in that space clapped. Why were they clapping? Because you see, the person he's telling, I will protect, is Gideon. The people who are clapping are Gideon supporters.
Yeah.
Why are they clapping? Because they feel if you're going to protect Gideon, then even us, who are Gideon supporters, are going to be protected. So again, you go back to the point of why political parties exist. The people who are in that room, I assume, or in that tent, were KANU supporters. The people who are very annoyed with Gideon 2 days ago for not running for Senate.
Yes.
They're the ones who are now being mollified. They've been told, guys, don't worry. I know you guys thought you're going to be safe if Gideon becomes senator and he's going to have a bit of power. I don't know what power senators have, but maybe he's going to have a bit of power and he's going to protect you. I want to assure you that despite the fact that he is not going to become senator, I will protect him. And guys clapped because they're like, okay, if you're going to protect him, then we are safe.
Okay.
So for me, that is an interesting perspective we need to understand. And we also need to stop discussing about opposition as if it's a permanent position. Anybody in opposition...
It's a holding ground.
It's not even a holding ground. It's supposed to be a space... If today Nelson was invited into government, I don't want him to keep saying, I cannot join this government. I would want him to say, I can join this government on the condition that they are going to do the following 5 things. Because you can't say you're not going to join government.
But don't you find that fascinating?
Yes.
Do we really have politics of principles? And I like your approach to being practical. Do you have principles in our politics? Or should we just forget about them?
You see, first and foremost, I think we need to start defining what principles are. Because part of my problem has been, in 2022, the people who voted for this government, forget about the leaders who have voted for.
Yeah.
The people who voted for this government, 1 year later, were saying they made a mistake. The people who are running the campaign for this government to get into office are some of the people who are telling us this government is bad. Now, they're telling us this government is bad. Why? Because something has changed in their personal relationship with this government. And now they're convincing an entire population that because I am no longer here, this government is bad. So the same question you asked about Senate. So as we talk about the principles of how politics works, I'm a political student, political science student. And one of the things you learn is that politics is such a dynamic field because things change all the time. We have a Ruto before 2024, Gen Z. We have a Ruto after 2024, Gen Z. We have a Kenya before 2024, Gen Z. And we have a Kenya after 2024, Gen Z. The Gen Z of June. Yeah. That thing changed the dynamics of our country. And if you're a leader, you can't keep insisting, this is who I am. You have to change with that. And that's a practical thing I'm talking about, our politics. We need to be that practical. If you're as a Finnish, if you're an opposition leader, and Israel is one that has perfected that, and Italy, they change government literally on a yearly basis. Because this one is not working. So you cobble that thing up, and Kalonzo gets into government, and he comes in and says, from now on, we are not going to be abductions, He's given assurances. Why wouldn't you join into that government? Because the things you're talking about, you're going to do in 2027. What if the government could do them now?
Okay. All right. Now, I want us to transition, but before we do so, DJ, you said that devolution is dying in favor of centralism, and that civil servants in counties are not receiving salaries, senators are. Why are people of Machakos not receiving salaries?
Delayed disbursement of funds.
For which months?
We do almost now 3rd month. Almost.
Which financial year? The current one?
Yes.
July, August, September?
Yes.
Senator, are you aware of that?
Number two. Yeah. Before we go to the senator, number 2 is when I talked of centralism and the counties devolution dying in Kenya, is today there are so many institutions under national government that are consuming huge chunks of money, but doing the same functions that counties are supposed to be doing. The agriculture, roads, water, health. I can tell you, the government is doing literally everything, 100% of what counties are supposed to be doing. Now, that, in my view, is just killing decentralization in Kenya, which is actually the fastest way to ensure this country develops. Yeah. This country develops, transforms faster than is expected. So that's what I meant. Now, you will not be surprised. You go to your village today and you find the national government doing a borehole and equipping the same. How
do they get to that point?
In Parliament, they get a proposal from national government through Treasury in budget making. That proposal is arrived at after gathering views from stakeholders, Kenyans included. Now, it is Parliament that passes budget. I've never had any particular elected leader in our national parliament saying, if you are duplicating what counties are doing, don't bring that statement here. Will not pass. But they pass. They pass, and the national government goes ahead to implement. And in most cases, to make...
Have you formally protested as a county?
Yes, severally. But
how
you
so?
see, I talked of state capture.
No, how so? How have you protested?
Just a minute. I'm coming there. I know we are short of time. You know, we have a council of governors. This council of governors today is composed of the elite. The elite, those who are ruling us, and they are not most of them do not want to be seen like they are talking loudly against hills of an administration they are part of. Two, in Kenya today, you remember the issue of Subarus. So many people fear to speak openly, because you will see at least 20 Subarus coming after you, just you alone. So it's a complicated matter, I can tell you. It's a complicated matter.
So I hear you. So you're saying the Council of Governors would not help in making an intervention in that. But
in a soft way, they have spoken. They have said, they read statements sometimes. You see them reading statements saying this, but the truth be said.
Yeah.
I can tell you, and there is a challenge of that, Sam. When you send these monies to ministries or their departments, it is done to the friendly areas of this country, not equitably every part of this country. So when it comes to implementation of government projects, it is not done everywhere. At the end of the day, when you send monies for doing boreholes to National Irrigation Authority, and they are out there doing village dams or boreholes, they never do it fairly.
So what I want to hear from you is, because the county government of Machakos is an independent institution,
yes,
has it formally complained to the national government or to even through IBEC?
We have done it severally.
How so?
And don't even talk about IBEC. Nothing comes from there, I can tell you.
But those are...
Even under Kidiki, even after they chased the one who was there, they brought another one. Nothing. You will go there, talk, and it ends there.
By formally, I mean you've written letters.
A lot from Council of Governors. They are there, and the Senate can
from
confirm.
Machakos.
What you don't do it independently, Sam. We have Council of Governors where the whole anything affecting devolution goes through there. And the Council of Governors, there are even committees with the chairpersons elected. Okay. If it is health, there is a chair of health. If there is anything touching on health, the counties will meet, voice their need, and if there is any resolution to be made, they make and communicate to national government.
Have you complained to the Senate?
Severally. severally. They have everything.
You chair the Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights Committee. Aware of this?
Sam, thank you. I'm a bit surprised with the kind of sentiments that the DG is giving, particularly with regard to he's talked of a number of issues. Let me start with the last one on disbursements. You know, when he says that there have not been released any disbursements, it is misleading the country. That is number one. I would have expected him to say, we have received this much, and this is what is outstanding. Because what I know from the approvals that the Senate has done in September, early September this year, that is when we received the schedule of disbursements of now what we allocated as shareable revenue to the counties. And the funny thing about the county governments is that Senate becomes important when they are fighting for additional allocations. Senate becomes important when they are passing legislations for purposes of disbursement of resources, and immediately after that becomes a problem because they do not want to be oversighted by the same Senate that gave the money. I don't want to go that bit. I want to answer that question.
In September you received schedules?
Yes, on 23rd of September, actually, to be precise. That is the date when the Senate passed the disbursement schedule. On the 4th of September, on the 4th of September 2025. That is when the disbursement schedule for the financial year 2025-2026 was passed, which was received as early as, I think, July. And on 23rd of September, that is when the first disbursement of these resources were made to the counties. It's not the entirety of what was shareable revenue allocated to all the counties of 415 billion, but a percentage of it that would facilitate.
For which months?
This is 10%. That should probably, I don't want to be, I'm not very specific, should be August and September, I don't know. Should be August and September because this passage was
because his point was that they have not received resources for July, August, September.
I think that has been disbursed. 32 billion was disbursed by...
The 2 billion would be just 1 month.
By 23rd of September.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
This would ideally be an allocation for just 1 month.
Very well. That could be the month of August or July. I'm not very certain about it.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, it is unfair to say that they have been unable to run merely because Senate has not done anything.
But also tell me, if you're passing the schedule, you said you received the schedule in July.
Yes, the schedule, of course, it came immediately after the passage of the budget.
Yes, so you received it in July, you passed it in September. Don't you think you're hampering the operations of the counties yourselves as a Senate?
No.
Because the financial year begins in July.
Actually, we are not. The approvals and the shareable revenue allocation to counties was done after July. So the disbursement schedule that was approved on the 4th of September was to facilitate the disbursement of what was approved as shareable revenue
at which point
for counties.
Already 2 months late. That's what I'm saying.
It didn't delay. As a matter of fact, by the way, what would delay the disbursements is now the fiscal challenges that comes from Treasury. Otherwise, from the point...
The schedule says you release the money by 15th of every month.
Yes.
Including 15th of July?
Yes.
And 15th of August? And you're passing the schedule in the subsequent month. You're already late.
Now, I gave you the specifics of this 4th of September 2025. That is when the disbursement schedule was passed. On 23rd of September 2025, that is when the first disbursement of what is a percentage of 415 was passed.
Okay.
It is possible that certain delays would come for purposes of disbursement of resources, but not because of the inability by the Senate to pass the disbursement schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the last point, so that we can go back to what National Delegates Conference of WIPA said. He says that the national government is hampering the operations of county governments, and they've been complaining, and the complaints are not getting any audience.
I'm not aware about that. That's number one. Number two, the question that you've asked as to whether or not the county government of Machakos has written directly to complain is answered by complains that IBEC doesn't do anything. Even if I was to write, nothing will happen. What I know is that there's a governance structure on, allow me to say, there's a governance structure on how the Council of Governors normally forward their grievances where necessary. Whether it's, of course, it's not to the Deputy President. The Deputy President only chairs that IBEC. County governments ordinarily are expected to be able to run their affairs independent of any other entity. What I would only have expected my brother here to say is a challenge is we do have sometimes challenges when it comes to implementing certain programs, because most of the programs that he's referring to, I mean, I don't think he would be able to say what he said on this platform when a project goes to his village where the people are going to be given a program on water supply that is coming from a donor-funded program, that resources have been put to treasury and an implementation is done.
That's what has been going on?
No, I'm just saying that, of course, in some cases, yes. For instance, like programs that are normally funded are done. For instance, a member of parliament who's gone into Water Service Board sought for support of a program to supply water to an institution, a primary school. It does not mean that that project will not happen because it's devolved. We want to serve the people.
All right. Now, I don't know what to make of this, Wakili. This tussle between the counties, the Senate, IBEC faulting COG and its operations. Yet the Constitution would be very clear on what function is national, what function is county.
One thing that we cannot dispute is this. There is a deliberate attempt by the national government and those who have the wherewithal of facilitating the functions of the county government, and not just the function of the county government, even agencies, to rely upon complexities of payment to ensure that the payments are not met. That's a matter of fact. And I think that is a failure of good administration in many aspects. Actually, today, if you're to ask anybody who is transacting business with government, he will tell you it is an extreme sport to be paid by government. So when county governments complain about failure of disbursements of funds, interference in the performance of their functions, I don't think that is something that we need to debate. Perhaps what my friend Sergei can do, just talk to your colleagues. Let them have the systems function. We cannot be saying that we're going e-citizen. We're digitizing procurement. We are ensuring that everything is done on the online platform. Yet it takes ages to facilitate these functions. Okay. I think efficiency just demands that we improve. There is no need to justify.
All right. Allow me to transition so that we hear from the Wiper leader. He wants to be president. Watch this.
And a new heart. And I have looked for my brother Gideon and told him it is time for us to move Kenya to the next level. Each day dawns with a new levy, a new penalty, and a new heartbreak. We pay taxes for services we never receive. No jobs, no medicine. They call it bottom-up economics. But what we see is bottomless corruption and a top-down greed. It is not an economic plan. It is an economic funeral.
Jana huyu Ruto ameita Gideon Moi wa jamii yake ya Wakalenjin, anasema Wakalenjin waungane. Mimi nikiita nyinyi anasema sisi ni wakabila. Si ndio? Wakalenjin wakishikana ni umoja wa kimataifa. Watu ya Mlima tukishikana anasema ni ukabila. Anafikiria sisi ni wajinga.
Sisi tumejitolea. Tumepata ukakamavu. Tunajua nchi yetu. Na mimi nikasema kama Kalonzo itakuja niwaambie wakati wa kujikomboa ni sasa.
Mtu anasimama mbele za watu mchana kusema watoto wetu wapigwe risasi mguu. Huyo mtu kweli hatakiwi kuwa kamiti?
So, Kalonzo Musyoka has announced his bid, or rather, the NDC has decided that he should be the one to gunner for that seat. Ngunjiri, a lot of activity the past few weeks, including your party, when Jubilee Party held its NDC, and a bit of some simmering fallout that we saw within the United opposition. I don't know that United still holds. How will this influence the rest of 2027?
First, I do want to congratulate Kalonzo Musyoka. I think he's the first serious candidate in the opposition who's actually gotten endorsed by his party to run for president. I think 2 years is a bit too long, but anyway, everybody does things in a different way. But at least now we have one candidate who is out there with the blessings of his party to actually look for the presidency. Actually, I think even Martha did the same thing a couple of weeks ago. So essentially the presidential campaigns or the national campaigns, the general elections are with us. And we're going to hear quite a bit of that. I think for me, it brings me back to the conversation of, so Kalonzo wants to be president. And I assume when he becomes president, he will also not want, he'll also want to be able to do what he went into office to do. And essentially it would mean that even if he, for example, he became president and he defeated Ruto, or somebody else was running against him, he would most probably now try and get everybody on board so that they are all now moving in the same direction together. And for those of us who've been following politics for a while, you start understanding that what people say when they're running for office is very different from what happens when they actually get into office. Gachagua explained it the other day and said that, you know, those things we were saying, we were looking for votes. So after we are done, don't worry about these things, because now and I find that now unprincipled to some extent, because what you say when you're in office and what you say when you're out of office should be as close to as possible, aligned as close as possible. But I think I also want to talk about something we were talking about when you're talking about the issue of county governments and how they relate with national governments, and just what Kalonzo has spoken about, bottom-up economic plan or lack thereof. I think once every election is finished, people fall into their lanes. And I don't think we have agreed and accepted that people fall into lanes. Those who get into government are now in the business of sustaining power and amplifying as much space as possible as they can do. Those who unfortunately fall into opposition are in the business of criticizing government and trying to replace it, change places with it. But those are only two groups of Kenyans, and they're actually a minority group of Kenyans. The rest of us who are not in either opposition or government are in the business of trying to survive. Right?
Interesting.
Hopefully succeed, grow, get better. So I think we spend a lot of our time focusing on the interests of these minority groups that are competing against each other. Because right now, so we've heard what Kalonzo is saying about what he's going to do when he gets into government. We've heard Ruto say what he's doing, but then how many times are we hearing ordinary Kenyans speaking? Because we assume that the two groups speak for ordinary Kenyans, but sometimes they don't.
Well, some of you tell us that you're listening to the people.
But you see, no, they're not listening, they're telling the people. I mean, how many times have you ever heard them listening to the people? When you're on top of the car holding a microphone, which people are you listening to? You're actually telling them. You know, you're not listening to anyone. What you should be seeing is actually listening to the people are caravans where they stop, they sit, and give people microphones and say, okay, you tell us what you want. Now, that is listening to the people. What we are seeing is people telling the people. It's a group of people who are telling other people. So nobody's listening to the people.
So tell me, because your party held a meeting and Fred Matiang'i was in attendance.
Yes.
No major announcements or pronouncements were made.
Yes.
But then after that, there came this narrative that he's now no longer with the United Opposition. But I think I saw him at the Wiper NDC.
Yeah, he was there.
So what is the arrangement there? Has the Jubilee Party decided it is Fred Matiang'i? Has it decided it's going it alone, or you're part of the United Opposition?
I think the first thing is we are not going to just be with you in the United Opposition because you're in opposition. We've always argued that the fact that you're in opposition doesn't necessarily make you a good person. So let's not assume that everybody in opposition is a good person. So we're all ganging hard in together. There are good people in opposition and there are bad people in opposition. There are good people in government and there are bad people in government. The first thing we as Jubilee intend to do is first agree what is it that we actually want to achieve. Then align those interests so that we're not coming together as personalities.
Yeah.
All of us hate Ruto. So we all come together and then agree we're going to work together. And then down the road, sometimes, then down the road, you start getting into problems. The kind of problems you're seeing and the fights you see internally within government, most probably is because they actually never had a conversation before they formed government about what it is that they all stand for. Then when you get into government and you realize your power, how you deal with power is different. And then you fall out, and then you get out, and then you can start telling us the people you are working with are bad people. So for Jubilee that has had the opportunity to lead the country, we are a lot more careful in how we go about positioning ourselves in politics, because we want to first agree. If you listen to Matiang'i speak, a lot of the times he's saying, this is what we want to achieve. So we're talking about the things we need to do, and then we want anybody who agrees with us about the things we want to achieve to come and work with us, right? That's the first and most important thing. But we're not just coming together because we hate the person who is in office, because when we remove that person from office, we're going to have to replace him with somebody who is going to achieve certain things that we have agreed on. I completely disagree with the argument that we must remove that anybody is better than Ruto. That doesn't work. I mean, what do you mean? Anybody is better than Ruto? There's some people who are terribly, a lot worse than Ruto. We can't replace him with a person who is worse than him. So the first thing we must agree is, who are we actually replacing him with and why? So that now, and that's why people are getting uncomfortable with us as Jubilee, because we're saying, no, guys, before we proceed, you hear Jubilee is arguing we are going to get into an election based on merit, that the person we're going to support is based on merit. Some other people are saying, no, we're going to support somebody based on numbers. Right? If you have enough numbers, then you deserve to be president. And the question is, so what if you are...
the numbers?
First and foremost, how are you counting the numbers? Number two, are we assuming because you have 1,000 people or 100,000 people behind you, you can make a good president? Shouldn't we first agree what it is that a good president is supposed to look like, and see whether, even if you don't come from a majority community, but you have the capacity to be a good president, how do the rest of us support you to be... So that's some of the reason why you see, and one of today's papers, I think it was The Nation, we have a point. It's not just Jubilee. Even PNU has the same problem. Munya is also complaining and saying, no, we're not going to be loaded around. We've been in this game a long time. And some of the people who are loading people around just showed up the other day. You know, they haven't done an election, they don't even have a single elected person, but you all of a sudden you want to be the one guiding everybody.
Do you know them by name?
I just saw them on TV.
Okay.
Some, allow me to just say something.
Sorry, you perhaps worked for them not long ago.
And I want to say something.
Sorry, the challenge you have?
The challenge I have is this. When you get into a new space, first take the time to find out how that space operates before you start deciding whether who is going to guide how that space operates. And you'll find that the reason why Gachagua is having a problem with people like Munya and people like Matiang'i is because guys are like, look, you just showed up. See, we all agree first on where we're going before you decide whether you're the one who's going to tell us how you're going to get there.
Okay.
So that's part. So because I have made that point based on what you raised, that Jubilee is having a bit of a problem within the united opposition. And as I said, the united opposition has to unite on principle.
Okay.
Not against.
Senator, please hold it. I'll get to you. I first want to hear from Harvey, because at least within the last 10 or so years, this will be the second time you have a candidate you're proposing to the ballot. It was William Ruto in 2022. Now you're talking about former Chief Justice David Maraga. When you look at the political developments at the moment, how is that impacting on your strategy towards 2027 as the team Maraga?
Picking from what Ngujiri said, and it's a pleasure appearing on a panel with you, Ngujiri. In real life, you're very pivotal. It's quite formidable. Now, it is not just about who has the highest numbers that we must have as a choice, as an alternative to President William Samoei Ruto. The evaluation must be both qualitative and quantitative. Let us see which individuals meet the criteria that we want. And after we've ascertained the individuals that meet the criteria that we want, then let's accumulate the numbers behind them. I mean, of the candidates that have come forth to express their interest, of course, Maraga ranks top on account of integrity, accountability, and transparency. By all means, I think they share the same platform with Kalonzo Musyoka. Despite having been in government for a long period of time, there are no egregious, discernible instances of wanton theft of public funds. I think on that slate, Kalonzo must be given his credit. But the reason why there could be some reluctance in gravitating towards him, it comes with this multitude of these individuals, all of whom have questionable backgrounds, all of them, you understand? So the fear is that President Kalonzo Musyoka will be held hostage by these characters. I mean, look at these characters. 50% of them are the ones who propelled William Samoei Ruto into office. They were with him. They were plundering with him. I think when the plunder taps were closed, that's when they started making noise. That will be my biggest hesitation.
Okay.
But truth be told, I think the more formidable candidates for president in the Republic of Kenya right now are Kalonzo Musyoka and David Maraga. I mean, and I always like speaking truthfully. We have tried without any great degree of success convincing the Gen Zs to actualize their power of change into a ballot power. But they're not doing so. I'm afraid to say, if this condition prevails, then we will retain the traditional voter blocks. And that is the reason why William Samoei Ruto may be confident. That's the reason why Kalonzo Musyoka may be confident. Because unless there is an injection of the 6.2 million into the voter basket, then we'll maintain the status quo. It will be between William Samoei Ruto and Kalonzo Musyoka. And I say this with a lot of dejection, because the young generation, the Gen Zs, have been very formidable in the recent past. They came out to denounce the finance bill. Yeah. It was as a result of their protest that the finance bill was shelved. They have come out in many numbers to call for accountability on the part of the government so far as expenditure is concerned, abductions, extrajudicial killings are concerned. But you see, friends, your lamentations will continue being lame unless you go to the place where IBC is registering people, get registered in order that you're able to change. And permit me to disagree with DG that the government is not doing anything to facilitate voter registration. I mean, the government ought to do nothing. You understand? I remember in 1996, I got my national identity card in 1995 in high school. But immediately thereafter, we had to change to the new generation then, and also to register. I remember cycling a bicycle with my sister on the carrier from Shikulu to Sango, a distance of almost 25 kilometers, not once, thrice, to go and look for IBC to register, because I was propelled first to ensure that I have the new generation ID card, and two, to get registered as a voter. And come 1997 December, I went and voted. It doesn't matter that the person that I voted for was not eventually elected president, but it grew the civic culture in me. So I want to encourage these young men and women.
Yep.
Go and register. Don't talk about fair. This thing of fair is bad. In fact, the other day, court said, Musikule fair. Go and register. For instance, if you are in Westlands here, the registration center that the IBC offices at the Chief Center, just near Safaricom. I mean, DG, don't tell these young people this story that they have not been given fair. Just go and register. Because if you don't register, you will still be here come September 2027.
Okay.
You will be saying one term.
I think his point was that the registration should be close to the people as much as possible, which I think
but it's not. So we need to deal with what we have right now.
All right. Yeah. Now, I have 0 minutes.
Yes.
But I can borrow a minute so that you can have 30 seconds each of you. You wanted to say something?
I wanted to say something in the context of actually what Senior Harvey has said in terms of the registration process. You see, this is a constitutional process that IEBC is doing.
Yeah.
And it is true, unfortunately, we have a target of 6.3. I'd pick the statistics. And out of these 6.3 million Kenyans whom we desire to register, courtesy of that mandate by the Constitution to IEBC, 70% are youth. Now, Nairobi is the leading as at now with 4,800 registered voters, followed by Mombasa, 1,300. The lowest county is Nyamira at 18, only 18, followed by Lamu. Where I come from, Bomet, we've only registered 200. And continuous voter registration is a process that will continue, and mass voter registration, which we now desire to have, will come, I'm sure, in the near future. It cannot then be that the government has not done anything. In fact, what Harvey did, I listened to his clip on the engagement between him and the Westlands young generation. This is the team that we look forward to support us. What the government can do as of now is, of course, to make sure that we embark on voter registration when the right time comes, and bring it down to the people. And lastly, we should not lament as leaders. Instead, we should be the people providing solution. We should be the ones giving hope when hope seems to be forlorn. We should be the one available to explain to the people what we want to do and how we intend to do, rather than saying we are not doing anything and throwing our hands up.
All right, 30 seconds, DJ. Your final word.
Thank you. You know, Mheshimiwa Ngujiri is very clever.
Why?
When he was in Gachagwa's office, Gachagua was right and a very good boss. Now that he has been chased away...
I thought he was very quiet, actually.
At what point did you hear me saying he was good?
Just
carry on.
But now, I think he has had the president say there are some available openings in the government, and I think he could be looking for one. Because he's talking about surviving, about doing this with the government, a lot of things. The thing is, KANU and Jubilee, there's a very big difference. And I think the former head of state, President Uhuru Kenyatta, he did that he's exiting this party politics, which is good for him, because he has been a president, and the essence of any political party is to come up with good strategies and aspire to come to leadership so that you can implement those strategies.
Right.
So I think the Ngujiri, I think he needs to change strategy. It's not to
go where.
It's not like at one point. And anybody, by the way, if you listen to Senator here, Gay and the rest group, the UDA group, the focal ones,
call UD.
They are very keen to divide Kalonzo and the rest of the team.
Yeah.
President Abiy here is telling us, you see, the people around Kalonzo, over 50% of them were the people who brought Ruto. He was part of that. Himself, he was with Ruto. Yeah. And I remember, by the way, in 2 occasions, President Abiy here was almost burning this house down, trying to fight for Ruto. How good he is. Now, the same people they were with. Himself, he has gone to be with the former Chief Justice. I congratulate him, that is right. Now, allow the rest also to coalesce around a leader, the incoming 6th President of the Republic of Kenya, in Jesus' name, who will ensure no extrajudicial killing in Kenya. Rule of law is followed. 24-hour economy is effected in Kenya. Devolution will work in Kenya, which this Kenya Kwanza one-term group has failed to do.
Okay. All right, DG, thank you for your time. I'm receiving a message here from Chris, who covers us in Kisii region, saying that Nyamira has 4 constituencies, constituencies. There are by-elections in 3 wards spreading across 3 constituencies, and that registration is not going on in those 3 constituencies. It's just 1 constituency, but still 18 is pretty low.
18 is pretty low.
Look at comparing that to the target. Can you take a look at a bit of the feedback at Citizen TV Kenya? Sam Gituku, the hashtag to use is daybreak. Arameki Berenge says that we shall never rise to the level of the Asian tigers as long as corruption remains the main economical activity for the ruling elites. Billionaires in Kenya are politicians who manufacture nothing. Billionaires in Singapore are innovators. Franco Rinde, all this talk of unity isn't about the nation. It's about self-preservation. When unity only comes alive before elections, it's not patriotism, it's strategy. Power first, people later. Selfish interest at play. Sir Nixon Ndugire, I now humbly concur with Senator Jackson Mandago, who once told us, usiweke siasa kwa roho, weka kwa lungs. Ili ukipumua, inatoka, inaenda. It's really true that the promises they make during campaigns are just buzz to get them to power. Bobo Tieno, President Ruto remarks on protections is a slap on the face to the hustlers who voted for him, leaving them unprotected, and now going to protect dynasties who didn't vote for him. It's betrayal and hypocrisy from political class. That's Bobo Tieno. Thank you so much, DG Francis Mwangangi, former President LSK Nelson Havi, former MP Nyeri Town, Gunjiri Wambugu, and Senator of Bomet, Senator Hilary Sigei. Thank you for your time. Up next is Spori Monday. See you again some other time. My name is Sam Gituku.